Live. All right, we are going live.
Cool.
Let me just refresh this to make sure we are live on YouTube. All right, we are live. How's it going, everyone? Thank you so much for joining us for AMA episode 11. With me today is good friend Makayla. Channel is Money with Mac. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Let me make sure.
Can you? You good?
Yeah, something's playing. So hold on.
It's probably the YouTube live, maybe the ad. Give us 1 second, everyone. Oops. All right, there we go. You good, Michaela?
Wait, why is that doing that?
If you mute the live, that's probably what it is. It's probably myself. All right, I'll go ahead and kind of kick us off. So if everyone can hear us okay, can you guys drop a 1 in the comments below just to make sure that we are live, you guys can hear us, and you guys can see us okay. And while you're at it, feel free to let us know where you guys are watching in from. I love, again, seeing all the different countries and states all across the country where everyone's watching in from. Again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your Wednesday to join us live. Essentially, this is an AMA episode 11 where we get on live every week at 1 o'clock on Wednesday to just answer your questions. Any questions you have, feel free to drop them in the chat, and then we will do our best to, again, offer our advice and our answers to any sticking points that you have in your business. Perfect. It looks like we are getting all good.
Sorry, that took me a minute there. It was playing, and I'm like, who's talking? But we are good.
Yes, it's always fun. We always have a little bit of trouble getting live, for the first few minutes. So that's why we kind of start off with just seeing where everyone is coming in from. So we got people coming in from Texas, Orlando, Florida.
Ooh, I'm in Texas.
New Zealand. Perfect. So again, with me today is Michaela. YouTube channel is Money with Mac. Would you mind kind of briefly introducing yourself and kind of what you're working on now?
Yeah, so my name is Michaela. I go by Mac or Money with Mac on social media. I've been a print-on-demand and digital product seller for 4 years now, and I share everything on my journey on YouTube and social media as Money with Mac. So, yeah.
Perfect. Love it. All right, guys. Again, a great guest, lots of experience, again, feel free to ask her anything you guys want. So again, the way this works is you guys will ask any question you want in the chat. We take them first come, first serve. So we'll start at the very top. And this live will be available on YouTube via replay. So if we don't get any questions, feel free to just drop it into the comment section on the replay or just wait till next Wednesday as we will be back next week. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of kick us off. At the very top, I see hey, Steven, after how many times do the payment failure for graphics to go refuse access to the approval queue? Okay, so it looks like the first couple questions are in regards to how payments work with HelloCustom. So if a charge fails, we lock the left navigation menu until that payment clears. And then if the payments don't clear within 7 days, that's when we freeze the account. But don't worry, at any time we don't stop pulling Etsy orders and we don't delete any templates. We just kind of lock up that left navigation menu. So feel free to get that payment cleared and or reach out to customer service and she'll be able to help you there. Looks like the next one is also for HelloCustom, so I'll take this one. HelloCustom, I need to know when HelloCustom will be able to have the option to download new fonts from Creative Fabrica, fonts that are more fancy than usual. So you are able to upload custom fonts. So if you click onto a text element on the left navigation instead of our editor, you can click onto the font and there's an option where you can upload a font. So you can upload any custom font that you want into your account and that font will just be for your account specific, not for HelloCustom way.
I see one about combo listings for 2 different size mugs.
Yeah, so in regards to combo listings, if the print provider on Printify has the 2 different sizes, I'm sure that size variation would be an option. If you're looking for a combo listing where you want different sizes and or different graphics, you can always create multiple products on Printify. For example, like an 11 ounce from one print provider, or 15 ounce from a different print provider, and you can SKU link those over to a single Etsy listing for them to go to the correct print provider once it hits the Printify location.
Yeah, or you can do 2 separate listings too, which I'm kind of pro, honestly. I find like the more surface area on your Etsy shop and the more options you can give can sometimes also lead to like a higher sale too, because if someone adds both of them to their cart too. It's a way to test out your listings. That's just my opinion on that, though. Can do it both ways.
Gotcha. That makes perfect sense. Next question is, hello, do you think it's necessary to have an LLC and perhaps a business insurance as well to do print on demand? I'm very interested in doing candles through Printify, but the fear of the liability of holding me back. So I have heard a few people say that they are scared to do candles for the liability. It is a burning product. Yes. So if you're doing candles, actually, I'm not gonna give you any advice on that product specifically, but for most people, a lot of people, they get started just using their social security number for the Etsy account, their personal bank account, they get started. That way it's, again, lower barrier to entry, less startup costs. And then once they kind of get proof of concept, once they start to get, at least one sale per day, then you can kind of get the TIN, and then get the business insurance, and get the LLC, and then you can convert your Etsy shop to the new information for tax purposes. Yes. But for most people, they just like to just get started first.
Yes. Definitely should have that situated, though, once you are making consistent sales, just to keep yourself protected, for sure.
Yeah. So for me personally, we were an LLC and we filed our taxes as an S Corp, I think. My business partner always did that. So I think it was an S Corp, but I think that was the best for tax savings. So that's just what we did internally.
Offering personalized names on sweatshirt sleeves. If we assume that customers might enter anywhere from 1 to 8 names for a grandma sweatshirt, how would that format be formatted on Printify plus HelloCustom?
Ooh, gotcha. Okay. I'm gonna reread that really quick. It says, "Hi, I'm offering personalized names on a sweatshirt sleeve. If we assume that the customer might have 1 to 8 names in the grandma." Okay, perfect. So the way that works on HelloCustom is it's all going to be in one text element. So it's going to be like one text element, and it's like like Steven, comma Destiny, comma Theo, comma Chloe. And the way that we do that right now is we auto fit it to the text element. So if there's a ton of names, HelloCustom will dynamically shrink the font to fit. Right now, we don't have the ability where it can break it into different lines once it hits a certain element or a certain length. So what you can do if there is a ton of names and the font is super small and it looks really bad, you can always click onto the edit button before you approve the graphic, and then you can break it into different layers and then adjust the font size and format the way you like it. Then click save, then click approve. So it won't go to production looking any way that you don't approve it to look like.
That's awesome.
Looks like there's one more HelloCustom question. So I'll kind of cherry pick off the HelloCustom questions, but if you have anything that's more specific to digital products or Michaela, feel free to throw those in there as well. So the next HelloCustom one I see, I think we skipped, was when creating a custom item with a picture, how and where does a customer upload the personalized picture? Is there a specific better size requirement? So if you have a product that's put on demand on Etsy and it requires an image upload, a lot of people either request the image via message or via email, and then you will give that instructions on the listing above the personalization box where you kind of give the instructions. You can say, please email photo to your email address, or please message us the photo post purchase. And then you have to take that graphic, and then if you're using HelloCustom, you can add a zone to your template, which is like a placeholder where that graphic is going to go. So you can take that graphic, make any changes to you want, maybe remove the background, crop it, then drag and drop that into the zone, then click save, and then you can approve that graphic.
I see a question from Sabrina. It says, does changing mock-up pictures on a listing affect your SEO? That's a really good question. And honestly, I feel like lately with Etsy, I think they have some sort of algorithm where they are able to figure out what you're selling before you even put words in your SEO just through your photos. So I wouldn't say it affects it totally. I think that your pictures are more important sometimes than your SEO. But I definitely would say that make sure your photos align with what your SEO is saying. Don't have a photo that's super confusing. Like your first photo, people need to know what you're selling, regardless of how good your SEO is. Like your SEO can be 10 out of 10. You did all the research. And if your photo is not good, if your photo sucks, sorry, no one's going to click on it. And so I think they do go hand in hand. SEO gets you in front of the right person, but it's about getting the click from the right person.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Essentially, the way that I think about it is like titles, description, tags is great for SEO, and then the images is great for conversion rate. Because like on a marketplace like Etsy, they can't feel the product, touch the product, try on the product. So the way that you kind of like get over those hurdles is through your listing images. So you got to make sure you have images with like, lay downs, model shots, benefits, features, guarantees, social proof on the image side, because a lot of people actually don't read the description. So if there's like this, the sizing in the description, but not a sizing chart, there's going to create too much friction on the listing. So I have a whole actually video about all of that on my YouTube channel. So feel free to watch my SEO video. Essentially, it kind of breaks down like putting yourself in the shoe of the shopper, where like me personally, like I click onto the listing, I look at the images, look at the price point, and if the two are good, I add to cart, right? So like my conversion is based mostly on the price and the images.
Yeah, I feel like images are so important, and having like that first image be the best one and not have too many things going on, so that somebody's like, this is what I want. And then you can put all the other photos in the, normal stock shots or action shots, but that first image is like very, very key, especially on Etsy.
Yeah, if you break down like the entire like shopper's journey, the first thing they have to do is actually click onto your listing. So the number one variable that kind of determines click-through rate is like, you only see four things. You see the main image, you see the first like 4 words of the title, the price point, maybe a sale date. So like the number one thing that kind of stops the scroll is the thumbnail image. So it's like everything to focus on. You gotta make sure that first image is like stop scroll worthy to get that click, and then everything else comes after that.
Yes. Oh wow, there's a lot of questions coming in. Okay.
It looks like Gloria says, should I just have one name on the file, and where on the sleeve should the graphic be placed? Should the starting point be positioned in to accommodate the max amount of names, even if the customer enters one? Yeah, so right now, HelloCustom actually can only personalize one graphic per product. So I'm going to throw this out there. We're about like 1 week out from adding the logic for HelloCustom to do multiple graphics per product. For what I mean by that is like a non-personalized graphic on the chest. It says like world's best grandma, and then another graphic on the sleeves that says like all the grandkids' names. We're about a week out from finishing that. We had to redo the entire logic. It just wasn't good enough. So we kind of started from scratch, and we made an AI version of that logic. But essentially, I believe I would probably do the personalization long ways for HelloCustom. That way you can have the maximum amount of names. If you end up doing it this way here, you might have to do some editing before you might have to do some editing in the approval queue. Like I mentioned, you break it down to separate lines and then readjust the font before you approve it and send it over to production. So, but whatever you think looks good based on your market research.
Okay, that was Gloria. Let's see. It's cool seeing where everybody's from too, like watching from.
Yeah, it looks like Gloria had another question. It says, lastly, I just opened my shop 2 weeks ago and have 24 shirts / sweatshirts now. At what point should I see more sales? When I have hundreds of listings, any SEO tips? So 2 weeks, you just got started. So at the 2 week mark, I probably would only expect to see like a handful of impressions. Also, congratulations on getting started. I think that's the hardest step, is just getting started. It really, and then it only gets easier from here. But like two weeks, it takes Etsy time to kind of like index your listing, know where to show you, to even start showing your ads. There's times where like you'll launch a product, you'll turn on Etsy ads, and like you'll see like very little impressions, very little clicks for the first couple of weeks. So if you're seeing like zero traction, I think that's completely normal. Even if you have Etsy ads on, the number one thing that the number one lever that you can pull to kind of get that, engine chugging is turn on Etsy ads. So if you don't have Etsy ads on yet, that's something I'd highly recommend. And I have a whole tutorial on like my launch strategy for new products on our YouTube channel, which I would kind of recommend you to go there, watch that. And if you can, implement that system to get those 24 sweatshirts going. On that note too, it's all about relevancy also. So like, like Halloween shirts during Halloween is going to sell a lot. Christmas shirts during Q4 is going to sell a lot. So like right now we're about to go into like a Mother's Day rush. There's a teacher appreciation rush and a nurse appreciation rush. So if your designs are, more like kind of evergreen designs, they might again sell a bit slower over the next, 6 weeks. But if those 24 shirts and sweatshirts were like, mom designs or nurse designs or teacher designs, that's another way to kind of guarantee that nice spike in sales. My buddy Jesse, we did a tutorial on this, like an interview last week, and he does about like $3,500 per day on his Etsy stores. And during this next 6 weeks, he jumps up to almost like $35,000 per day. So sales will like 10x during this big spike. So make sure you have designs for these niches coming up.
Yeah, there's still time too. I think sometimes people get nervous if they can't like post those. Like they're like, oh, my store is niche specific, and it's okay to throw in a thing here and there, and it's not too late yet. So if you haven't done that.
Yeah, it's never too late. To give you a quick example on that, like my tutorial on ornaments, I launched super late last year, and I kind of made a promise. I was like, I truly believe that someone could start ornaments today and still make $100,000 before the end of the year. And I was like the last one to launch a tutorial on ornaments, and one of our users made close to $100,000 with ornaments launching as late as like closer towards Halloween. So again, it's never too late. You're going into a spike of sales and a spike of demand. So it's better to hit that at any point in time.
Yeah. And that's like one of the best niches coming up right now too, like Mother's Day. That's where they go right to Etsy. So definitely. Okay, where did we leave off here?
So there's a question for you, Mac. It says, Mac, what's your best way to find trending niches? Thanks in advance.
So that's a great question. I think you can find trending stuff just by scrolling, just by looking on Etsy itself. Personally, instead of finding a trending niche, I would say if you want to do a niche specific store and then implement trends. I think that's a better strategy in my experience, rather than trying to always jump onto the trend, always trying to jump on the viral product. If you have the time to be searching for, trends and seeing something and, it comes up, let me throw up some designs. Absolutely. But I think it's better to focus like in your niche. How can I fit these things that trend within that, if that makes sense? Like an example is, let's say you're selling a nurse sweatshirt and a trend comes by of like the coquette designs. How can you implement a coquette bow on a nurse sweatshirt? If that makes sense. But overall, just looking around, seeing what's working for other people, and then adding your own inspiration onto that and making it better, making it more engaging, better photos.
Yeah, I completely agree. One thing with like trending niches, it's kind of hard to always be like chasing those trends versus like building a solid foundation of designs that's going to sell every single year. Like that, like if you start launching like Mother's Day designs, like those are going to sell again next year, and they're going to sell again the next year after that. So it's not really like a trend. They're more consistent and having a solid foundation. Versus like always trying to chase after the trends. Trends are nice. They're nice cash grabs. Like a few months ago during the Super Bowl, like go Taylor's boyfriend. Sure, like there's people making thousands of dollars a day, chasing that trend. But as fast as it came, it left, right? So it's like versus like that nice solid foundation of like the more evergreen designs.
Yeah, and which can be really nice if you're trying to like grow your shop and you want to just jump onto something, like not have the attachment to it of knowing that it's not going to be something that's long term or consistent. But sometimes it can like help get your shop momentum going, and it's something that you definitely can try for sure. But overall, just keeping an eye out. And if you're using Chrome extensions too, like depending on which ones you use, you can kind of pick up on trends there too. But I think social media has a huge influence on what is trending, and so that's a good place to find it too.
Yeah, great advice. Mickey says, for under 18 years, how can open a bank account? That is my problem currently. So I personally don't have any advice there in regards to opening a bank account under 18. I'm assuming the best place to go would be to like your guardians, maybe your parents or your grandparents, to open up in your name or in their name. I actually don't know Etsy's TOS for opening a shop. You might have to be 18 to open an Etsy account. But again, I think just you could even open one in your parents' name, run the business, and then with the contract to get it back when you turn 18.
Yeah, or you can just learn as much as you can, and then hopefully you turn 18 soon and you are ready to launch and ready to go.
It looks like Don asked, hello, I would like to know if HelloCustom can work with Lulu. So I was just Googling Lulu. I don't know if there's a ton of Lulus out there. Are you referring to the Lulu, the publishing company for books? If so, we don't integrate with Lulu. If you use a print provider that HelloCustom does not integrate with, you can always still use HelloCustom to personalize the graphic. So you can integrate HelloCustom with your Etsy account. It can personalize the graphic. You can download that as like a PDF, for example, and take that and apply that personalized PDF to a Lulu order. So we can automate the first half, but then the second part you might have to do manually.
Looks like that next one too is
another HelloCustom question. It says, any updates on when HelloCustom can personalize dual designs, like the front of a sweatshirt and the sleeve? So yeah, I was just mentioning about a few minutes ago that we were about a week out from that. So I was trying to go live with that feature like last month. but it just wasn't as accurate as I want it to be. I want it to be accurate like 100% of the time. So we kind of scrapped our method of how we were determining the correct graphic, and we went with a more AI version. So we had to kind of rebuild it from scratch. And right now I'm actually going to start testing it in beta, hopefully on Monday of next week. So essentially what's going to happen is I'm going to test it probably the first part of next week, and I'll probably email all of our users to ask if anyone wants to be a beta tester to that feature. And then you just respond with yes, and then we'll turn on that feature for your account. And then you'll be able to have access to that. And then once we kind of debug everything, then it'll go live for everyone.
I'm just getting started. Is Printify the only auto integration right now for HelloCustom, I'm assuming?
Gotcha. Yeah. So right now, HelloCustom only integrates with Printify. We are days away from integrating with Inner Circle Prints. So if anyone uses Inner Circle Prints, my buddy Jesse, we are days away from finishing that integration in time for the Mother's Day rush. Another integration that we are working on right now is the Printful integration. We're about 50% done with the Printful integration, cool. And then we're going to move on to probably Shine On next. So we are working on a few more integrations in the background. We are also on a marketplace level. We have one developer working on the Amazon integration and another developer working on a Shopify integration. So we have a lot going on right now. We kind of just really want to like solidify the product. And now that the product is solid, we're on a really horizontal with a bunch of different providers and a bunch of different marketplaces. So those will come really fast.
Yeah. And guys, if you haven't used HelloCustom or don't like fully know what it is, check out Seven's channel. I have a tutorial too. It is such a valuable tool in print on demand. Like seriously, it really is. And it personalized products and then being able to automate it, And I think like people just assume that personalization is such a freaky thing to start. Like they don't want to do it because it's more work or it's, it freaks them out. They're going to mess something up. But like this will literally help you so much and grow your shop. So definitely.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Now I have to rant about personalization for a second. So it's so funny because like I actually haven't met. I think like the way that print on demand on Etsy, I think it's changing. I think 2 to 3 years ago, like people who were successful 2 to 3 years ago, they were successful or were able to be successful without personalization because there's a lot less competition. The way that people made a lot of money 3 years ago was they'd put like, these fancy sayings in nice cursive fonts on a t-shirt, create 1,000 listings, and then they would make, hundreds of thousands of dollars. People who are making money today are doing personalization because that strategy isn't working. There's just too much competition. How many different fonts can you say the same saying? I actually haven't met anyone who's launched their Etsy shop in the last 12 months that is making 6 figures that is not doing personalization. So everyone who's being successful today that's just getting started, they are leveraging personalization, and they are now able to use HelloCustom to automate that. So you can keep your print-on-demand business semi-automated through HelloCustom. So I'm really kind of excited to see what the next evolution of like the content creators and the YouTubers, like, everyone who's like finding success now will become YouTubers maybe in 12 months from now. And then what they're sharing is like how they found success through personalization. So I think a lot's going to happen in the next 12 months.
Would love an elevator pitch on Mac's background, physical and digital products.
I just read that.
Yeah, I mean, a brief little story if you don't know me. I've sold a lot of different things online before I realized that print on demand was the thing for me. I started with drop shipping really briefly. And then I was selling gift boxes, like physical gift boxes that I was creating out of my really small apartment. And then I found print on demand, and that was what, really took off for me and was something that I found so interesting and so valuable. And I saw success very quickly in the space. This was back in 2020. And then I started incorporating digital products because they were really trending about 2 years ago. Nobody was really talking about it. And not only did I start doing tutorials on my YouTube channel around 2 years ago for that, but I started selling them, and I made planners, and I was outsourcing and working with copyrights to help me make these products that I didn't know how to make, which now there's so many more resources too, which is crazy. But yeah, I just got it started. I was always on Etsy. I've always loved selling on Etsy. I think it is the best for beginners. I think it's the best to scale easily when you don't have a lot of, capital to start. And I love marketplaces versus websites, in my opinion, like versus a website host. But yeah, that's a little bit about how I got into it. But print on demand is still just my favorite. I just never want to stop doing it because the opportunities are endless, and we even see the amount of products available now versus 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, absolutely insane. So opportunities are there.
Gotcha. Love it. Love it. Next question is, any particular trends you guys have picked up on either style fad or product wise? So again, like right now, what's going to big boom starting April 6th is Mother's Day designs, teacher appreciation designs, and nurse appreciation designs. Like you will see starting April 6th, the demand curve just exponentially grows about 10x and then falls back down again the first week of May. So I would focus on those ones. You can go to Etsy in an incognito window. You can type in again like mom shirt or mom gift or Mother's Day, and then use your Everbee tool to see like the best sellers, and then see, okay, what are these best sellers doing? Are like what kind of color palettes are they using? What kind of fonts are they using? What kind of like niches within Mother's Day are they designing for? And then you can kind of create a list of like design attributions that you see commonly to then go create your designs for these niches. Looks like another question for Michaela. It says, which target audience has been the most fun to create designs for and the most lucrative?
It's a great question. So I guess in target audience, I do mainly sell to women, I would say, but in the sense of I always have been involved in the mental health, self-help, self-love niche. That is something that like, it resonates with me. I understand it. I've been through a lot, and like, I love being able to showcase that through my products. So that's always been the best for me. But I also have gotten into selling to professions and, such as nurses, teachers. Those are your evergreen niches that you can really, grow on. And then for digital products, weddings, bachelorette parties, stuff like that.
Perfect. I think this is another question for you, Mac. It says, made to order / personalized digital products, for example, nursery prints, seem to be where the numbers are at. It says, Mac, do you dip into made to order or instant fulfill downloads out of interest?
Made to order personalized digital products seem to be where. So I think I'm understanding this as, okay, so I think what you're asking is, okay, the best way to answer this, I think you would be wanting to sell like templates for personalized digital products. So for example, creating a nursery print that maybe has a name on it, what you can do is you can create the art and share an editable link with that customer to add in the name versus doing it for them. Not only is that going to save you time, but also it gives them like a sense of a personalized touch that they're doing, if that makes sense. Or you could sell physical prints that you do an integration with something like HelloCustom, where you print the name on every single print. But if you're going to be doing it as a digital product, that would be my best advice for that. Instead of having to make every single one made to order. Believe it or not, people don't mind templates as long as you give them the correct instructions to how to access it. They don't mind it. They really don't. Some people actually prefer it because then they can change their fonts the way they want, but some people want it done for them. So you can test out both. You can even just do where you have them put it in their personalization and you recreate it every time and send it to them. But obviously it's going to be less passive than just an instant download.
Yeah, I think it's all about expectations. Like if the listing says this is a template, then selling templates is good, but also saying like this is a done for you. It might be a way to kind of mark up the design cost, what you get set for. I see, should the main image be a lifestyle mockup or a 3D mockup? So for the main image, we were just talking about like how important the main image is. So kind of what I do is I search for the main search term that I want my product to rank for, or the product type, like for example, like mom shirts. And I scroll through Etsy to kind of see like what everyone's main images look like, because I don't want to just kind of bleed into the abyss of all like the dark gray, how they're, ladies wear the dark gray shirts, where I just kind of like bleed into the background. You want your main image to kind of pop out to be kind of a scroll stopper. So I kind of just see like what is catching my attention, what is kind of, fading to the background. And I keep note of like, okay, for the shirt, for example, like a darker color shirt is standing out, a model shot versus a lay down is standing out. a shot where the person's like kind of doing something with their hands is setting out, and then I design my main image to be that. So you don't want it to be too spammy, but you also want it to pop. And that's kind of how I design my main images. Back when the main image shape used to be a rectangle, I used to have like the image be square, and I used to put like my variations on the side. That way they could see, oh, there's also more design variations. So they can click, out of curiosity, sometimes they would click into it to see my other designs. So anything on that main image that you can have to help to click through is really important.
Yeah. Okay. Target audience. Woo, 100th sale yesterday. That's awesome. Congratulations. I see one for the main image.
Sorry, guys, give me a second. I just lost my place.
I know I lost mine too.
Sometimes it just uploads and it totally just shifts our screens. We have to like find it. So I guess one second, guys, I'll find it really quick. It says, Max, do you always fill all 10 photo thumbnail slots?
Typically yes, but I focus more on quality images that I know are gonna like help me convert versus filling out every single one. So what I like to follow having, that first really great photo, kind of as you were just explaining, testing out and seeing what is popular when that pops up, how you can make it different, having that first really great photo. And then I like to use the traditional stock photos that are just like white background, so people can see like what to expect with the product that's not a mock-up made or generated. And then going off of that, I like to have photos of maybe the product being used, someone wearing the sweatshirt. I just did a YouTube video about this and showing like, if let's say you're selling a sweatshirt that it says Colorado on it, it says Rocky Mountains. If you're showing that sweatshirt with like a plain white background or like a beach background, like that makes no sense, So like, don't focus on like filler photos that don't make sense. Really put your photos with intention versus, I guess what I'm trying to say is quality over quantity. So filling out all the photos can be great, but focusing more on like, what does the customer need to know? Size chart. Maybe you have your shipping policy or your refund policy, whatever it is. Like, what do you want the customer to know first before just putting like those filler photos that aren't good, because you only have a few seconds of someone's time when they're scrolling through your listing.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Kind of the way, again, I always think about it is like, I want to put myself in the shoes of the shopper. So like, what do they need to see with or about the product to buy the product? What would I want to see? So like, again, like you have your main image that needs to be like a scroll stopper, click through, optimized image. And the very next image, maybe image 2 and 3 and 4, are like my how to order images. Like you need those to buy the product, like a sizing chart, a color chart, like maybe a font variation chart, like whatever you need to buy the product. A lot of people put those images at the very bottom, which creates some friction because they have to go find the sizing chart, to go edit, and they have to go find the color chart. So I always do like the main image, my how to orders image. I also do a social proof. So it's like a lifestyle shot of the product and like 5 stars and like a quote, not a quote, but a review. That way they can see, hey, other people like this product. I do a benefits features image next, and I always do like my love it guarantee next. If anyone's on the fence, like, do I want it? Do I not want it? They went all the way down to your last photo. It's like, hey, if you don't like it, no problem. We'll give you a full refund. Just let us know. So those are kind of like how I do my. It typically falls between 6 or 7 photos.
That's some gold info right there.
It works. I mean, I think our average blended conversion rate was 6%. So again, like your images help your conversion rate. So you make sure some people buy off benefits, some people buy off features, some people are on the fence, some people want to see social proof. So you're kind of like checking all the boxes by having that combination. And again, I think it really helped our conversion rate over time.
Yeah, something really big too, if you're selling digital products, because I know a lot of people that follow my stuff, they are interested in digital products. Make sure your instructions are in your photos, because if your instructions or you're not explaining how to do it, like you don't want to say 10 paragraphs of what to do, but just like a few little bullet points so that someone understands that it's digital or what they have to do, how they're going to download it. Oh, it's instant download, that kind of thing. Super important. Don't skip that. It's going to help you to not have like people trying to get refunds or upset, or also going to take time off your hands for customer service messages, because then you're already answering their questions beforehand.
Perfect. Yeah, that's some good advice. Looks like there are a couple questions directed towards you. If you want to take those, or I can take one off.
How much time do you give a listing before deciding to stop promoting it or remove it? That's a really good question. So it takes a few weeks for your listing to really get into the algorithm. Like it's not something you're going to like post and overnight you're going to see the success on it. Just watch, in your insights, see what's going on. If you're getting clicks, no buys, doesn't mean that you should delete it. You can always deactivate listings. You pay to have them on there, so you might as well just kind of let it expire. In my opinion, I think if you have 4 good listings, maybe 2 bad, those 2 bad, in my opinion, are not really hurting your shop. It's kind of about like a listing base. So I would, if it's not working, definitely don't put money into the ad. If like maybe not definitely don't, but ads are a whole other topic that I'm sure we'll get into in a moment. So I'm not even going to go there yet. But when it comes to like removing the listing, I don't think it's necessary to just like delete it right off the bat. I would see what happens and just let it naturally expire.
Yeah, that makes sense. For me personally, it's not necessarily time is the variable. It's how much data have I received to make the decision. Because you could have the listing live for, say, 3 months, but it got like 5 impressions, 0 clicks, 0 conversions. There's not enough data to know if that works. Versus maybe you turn on ads, you had a really high budget, got 1,000 impressions, I got 100 clicks and 0 sales. Okay, well my conversion rate is 0% on 100 clicks. It should have been at least 1 to 4 sales. Then I can determine to turn it off. So just making sure that you have enough data, not necessarily time, to make that decision. The next one looks like I'm fairly new to shop and had a shirt go viral. Bad news is it went viral on a slew of platforms, including 24 TikTok shops, 14 eBay shops, and were not mine. So I'm curious how you found all of that. So any advice on protecting your design? So Michaela might have advice for me personally. It was always just kind of like where I want to spend my time, because it depends on how successful that design is. If that one design was making me $10,000 per month, I would then take the bandwidth to go protect that design and go after these people. But if it was a bestseller, I got 10 sales and I got a bestsellers badge, I would just move on to the next design, make another iteration of it, because that is kind of the nature of the beast. Is there are a lot of knockoffs, but if you just kind of put your head down and just focus and focus on the next design and the next bestseller, you will always be 10 steps ahead of the people who are trying to knock you off.
Yeah. I think it kind of shows, number one, you're doing something right. If people are, ripping your designs, it shows that what you created is what's wanted. And I think you said it perfectly. Is it worth your time to go after it? Is it something that, you're seeing all the time? You don't know how much money also that people are making on that. So even if, you make a big ordeal, they might not have even made any sales, and it might not just be worth it to spend your time. Your time's everything. Focus that into marketing your product better, or creating another product with that same design that's even better, and just stay in your lane. Because I had this happen. I was super attached to this one design that was doing really well, and it was a viral pin. This was a few years back, and that just went everywhere. It's all over Etsy still, and it like broke my heart. Like I was like, no, why is everybody ripping this? And now that I look back on it, I used to hyper fixate. I would report all the listings, and I spent so much time on that I could have spent just creating something just as good. And if people are going to rip it, they're going to rip it, and you will never be able to get them all off unless you trademark, which is a whole nother process. So yeah, just, is it worth your time before really going into that whole rabbit hole of things that you'd have to do?
Yeah, great advice. I'm going to throw this next question to you because I don't know the answer to it.
Okay.
I see a lot of sellers using images of politicians or famous people on mock-ups and t-shirts. Is that allowed, or is there any trademarks issues with doing that? So I know a lot of people put Trump on a shirt, and I believe I had a conversation with Cassie Johnson about that. And it's like, I think it is okay, something about their likeness, but I'm not too big on the whole trademark side of the industry.
Yeah. So personally, no, I don't mess with it. I don't do it. I know that, there's like a fine line with Etsy, because like sometimes they're on it, and then other times they just let it rock. Like you'll see tons of listings with Taylor Swift, Donald Trump, like all these people. And even as a newer seller, you might come on and think that's okay, right? Something I was selling like Disney stuff, and I had no idea that like I couldn't, because I didn't know everybody else was doing it. There's best-selling listings. Personally, it's not worth it. Let's say you have a listing blow up and you're killing it, and let's say you make like 30 grand on this listing, and then let's say that they do come after you. Is that worth it? Then you owe money. You have to deal with this whole thing. Technically, I don't know how legal or illegal it is. I just choose not to mess with it. There's so many other things to sell. There's so many other things to create. Why risk that, or having your shop deactivated.
Yeah, I think that's some good advice. Like just because another seller is doing it doesn't mean it's okay to do it. Again, there are a lot of people selling Disney products. I think I think Cassie Johnson, another YouTuber, I think she has a few different trademark videos. I think in one she actually interviewed a trademark attorney. There's probably the answer to that in one of those videos. I'd recommend to go watch that. Next question is, what products do you recommend for the nurses, teachers, and Mother's Day? So if you use Printify, so if you go to Printify, they have a tab called bestsellers. So knowing that Etsy is one of Printify's biggest marketplaces, by default, their bestsellers there should be bestsellers on Etsy. So some of the products that do really well is like apparel, but also what Jesse was saying from his experience in the interview I did last week was the more like kind of general products. Like I'm probably not going to go buy my teacher a t-shirt because I don't know if she's a small, medium, large, but a mug that's more generic. I would 100% buy my teacher a mug. So the more like the tumblers, the mugs, the tote bags, those are very safe bets for those 3 niches.
Yes, I was just gonna say tote bags, they're a great seller. Notebooks too now, like this, I have this one I show on social all the time. These kill it. These notebooks from Printify, I love these. And like what a cool gift, like to get, I was selling this one for a long time, but what a cool gift to like get a teacher. Like personally, if I was a teacher and someone gave me like a notebook, like I use it, you know? So just thinking outside the box too.
Yeah, we have a user in HelloCustom, and I think the amount of notebooks that person sold is crazy. I think I actually have to go create a notebook tutorial because I never even thought about notebooks as a product. But there's a lot of notebooks, personalized notebooks going through our system right now.
Oh yeah, notebooks are really, really cool. They're great gifts too. Like people love to receive notebooks, believe it or not. Okay. I see seller. When is the right time to give up on a product? You know, I don't think there's a right time. I think it's just about like pivoting, like maybe figuring out where the issue is. Like, is it your product? Is it your design? Like, what is it? Is the product that you're selling not translating to your target audience? For instance, if you're trying to sell a camping mug and maybe you're selling a mug that like you use inside versus like a tumbler or something like that, kind of just getting knowledge on does my product make sense for who I'm trying to sell to? And then I'd say giving up is like, it's just pivoting. Like you don't have to give up on a product, pivot where you can, like put that focus to something else that you've learned from that product that maybe is not working or you're not seeing revenue right away. I don't know if you have a thing to say on that too, I think.
That makes total sense. So what I do personally is like for every product that we sell and every design that we create, like there's a reason why we did that. So I should be 100% confident in it to not necessarily give up. So the strategy that I do is I go find 3 to 5 shops that are selling the products and the designs that I would love to sell. Like they are now where I want to be. They launched in the last 1 to 3 years, so they're fairly new. They launched with today's competition. And you can use a tool like Everbee to scrape their entire shop. If they have 1,000 listings, you can scrape all 1,000 listings to get estimates of what each product is doing. So cool. And if you find 5 shops and you scrape all 5 shops, you can create an Excel sheet with 5,000 different designs with predicted, guesses on their sales velocity. And you can filter that 5,000, page document to best seller. And then which designer you're going to go launch first. It's going to be the one that made the top of the list. So what I do is I go through that list. I probably go through the first 100 on the list, and I look at the designs to kind of see like what niches are they selling, what color palettes, what fonts, what they're using retro or groovy, or like what are they designing with, to create a list of how I should be creating my designs and what niches for what product types. And then that's kind of what I've been doing since day one. And again, like we typically have 10 times less listings if we make 10 times more than the average. So it's like it really allows you to have like that sniper approach versus like the spaghetti on the wall approach. So if you do the right product research, the right market research, the design in theory should hold up.
Yeah, and that's what you really should be doing versus like just throwing random things on products. I know like we all, when we get started, that's what we do. We just like get excited. We like throw random designs on random products, but like the research is what's going to set you apart, and like knowing your audience and knowing what they want and creating for them maybe versus what you want to create too.
Yeah, that's great. It looks like next question is, I used to use Allura for email campaigns communications. With changes to email, this has halted. Niche stores are a great idea, but how do I manage all of the communications across the stores? Any tools? So I don't know if Mac, if you have any advice on that. I actually never have done the emails, so I don't have tons of advice for that. I know that is a great strategy to get post sales, post reviews. Again, like maybe halt potential negative reviews. So it's a great tool to leverage. I'd never really implemented it back when we were running our shop.
Yeah, so I started doing it recently, actually. This wasn't something that I really messed with before, with Everbee email coming out, was when I was like, okay, like let's get into email marketing. I have some videos on my channel about that. One's dropping this week as well for Everbee, not Allura. I don't use Allura, but basically with the rules being, you cannot market to somebody on Etsy with an email list. You need to be able to communicate with them about their product or their order before you can market to them. So it's about having that, them checking the box pretty much to be able to use the marketing. I think it's a great tool if you can and have the time to use it. However, in my opinion, I think that if you do end up creating social media accounts for your Etsy shop, which is something that I'm big on, I know not a lot of Etsy sellers do that. That is a better way to grow your email list by giving free products. But absolutely, if you want to try to grow your email list on Etsy, you should. It helps, keep your back if something were to happen with your shop. Again, if you don't want to put that out there, but managing it across stores, I would say I don't know about across stores. I think for like using one store, like you can link it to like an Everbee email account. But I think if you wanted to do it across different stores,
Yeah, I think Scott Walker, that he's like the guy that does a lot of lives on Cody's channel. He's really big on niching down. His background, I used to listen to his podcast 10 years ago, back when he was an Amazon seller. So it's so cool now he's on Etsy and teaching Etsy. But he's really big on like a niching down for a bigger brand experience. So I'm sure he probably teaches to like niche down, one niche per shop, multiple shops for different niches, and then therefore you have to do different email marketing. That way it's all about relevancy. One thing on this too is like not like you don't have to do email marketing to be successful. You don't have to do social media to be successful. You can be successful with email marketing. You can be successful with social media. My best advice is whatever you choose to do, you have to be consistent at it. So I wouldn't just do email marketing to do email marketing. Like you'd have to have actual strategy and consistency behind it. And that goes with pretty much everything in the business. The next question is for you. I'm going to pitch it your way. It says, does POD clothing sellers typically lose money on refunds or size exchanges?
That's a great question. So I've made videos on this before. I do not accept returns or exchanges. Depending on who you talk to as a seller, this is different. Also, depending on where you're located, it may be illegal. But for me, I don't accept refunds just because of the custom nature of print-on-demand products, because your print providers do not accept the returns. And what's going to happen if you do accept returns is you're going to end up with everybody's returns at your own home address. And so do you typically lose money on that? No, just because I don't accept them. Does that get me a bad review every once in a while? Yes, but it's not going to hurt the overall growth of my business. When it comes to size exchanges, again, it's a little rough. I've had some issues with people wanting exchanges versus a refund. And there's times where I have done it, where I've just had them mail it to me, and then I've sent them the right size. And then if I get an order in, I just ship out the one that they sent me. It's a bit of a hassle. And so I would just advise you to not do it. It really hasn't affected my sales. And I'm very clear about my policies in my Etsy listings, just to avoid that. So when that's why we give a size chart that's accurate. And then, we're holding our own backs. We're holding ourselves accountable. When someone does message and say, hey, this doesn't fit, they had a chance to check the size chart. And so you're kind of backing yourself.
Yeah, I think that's some great advice. Like a lot of people who sell apparel actually don't accept refunds, because I'm assuming refunds for apparel is a lot for the reasons mentioned by Mac. But again, like I've heard some people say that like for the Bella Canvas 3001, it's like a jersey tee, like a unisex design. Therefore, if you're buying it for like a female, you should be ordering a size down. So any advice that you get from like that, you should probably put that in your how to order image. Like we recommend ordering a size down if female, because it's a unisex shape. That way that might help kind of buffer some of the refunds.
Yeah. And like, you'll learn these things as you go too. Like, it's like, once you have a problem, like you'll learn from it. So don't be afraid to get somebody like angry over something, because if at the end of the day, that's like helping you realize like, okay, now I need to put on my listing that maybe women should order a size down, So yeah.
Yeah, that's something I teach as well, is in regards to like customer service is a good thing, because if someone's reaching out with a question, that means you did not answer that on the listing. You should be answering all these on the listing. So like whenever we get a question, if there's like a consistency of a question, like for example, we used to sell dog collars, and a lot of people who had like little tiny chihuahuas, like the collar is too heavy, and it was like the collar only weighed like 0.1 pounds. So we had to make a little note like, do not recommend for dogs under a pound. And then guess what? We stopped getting 1-star reviews for people with little chihuahuas. We stopped getting questions because we made notice of that on the listing. So if you get tons of either 1-star reviews or questions, like take that and address it on the listing level through the image. And that will help kind of reduce the amount of time you're spending on customer service and or bad reviews. So we have about 10 minutes left. Again, I just want to let everyone know that the replay will be live on YouTube. If we don't get to all of the questions, again, feel free to drop it in the comments below or wait till next week. And again, I'm going to take the next question. It says, I would love some SEO tips. I have Everbee and Sell Samurai, but they are conflicting results, thousands off on search volume and competition. Yes, that is 100% true. So independent of which search analytics tool that you use, none will be 100% accurate, because Etsy does not give us that information. So essentially, like we are trying to, or Cody or Sell Samurai is trying to take like ABC and give you XYZ. They're trying to make lemons or lemonade out of oranges, so it's like they have to try to back into that data based on guesstimates and averages. So I always use it as like a compass. Like if it says that this listing is doing 10 sales per day and this one is doing 100 sales per day, I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but it says this one's doing more. So I always kind of use it as a compass of like which one is doing more. That's kind of why when I scrape the listings and I sort it from highest to least, I don't know if the number is 100% accurate, but I know that the one at the top is doing more than the one at the bottom. I also look at it's typically off when it comes to like daily sales, because that's like how many sales is it doing right now. The numbers that tend to be like really accurate is like lifetime sales and reviews. So and the listing age. So I always look at like a listing age. The listing age is 3 years. In the last 3 years, it's on 3,000 sales. So it's averaging about 1,000 sales per year. And then I can kind of break that down into how much per day that might be, to kind of give you a better, more accurate guesstimate.
How important is it to keep the same niche in my shop? I'm concerned the customers who favor my shop will unfollow if I start in a Mother's Day designs. Yeah, so I am huge on niche specific stores. If you've seen my videos, you know that. I think it's really great for growth on Etsy and for having an overall brand. But I think it's okay to implement a listing for a trend if you want to. I mean, can it fall into maybe you can use your niche to market towards Mother's Day in a way, or like get creative in that way. But I wouldn't worry about having 1 or 2 listings for Mother's Day. I mean, it's coming up. It's something that is going to bring clicks to your shop and that you could get sales on. And so I do think it's okay. I don't think it's going to like make people be like, what the heck? Most people on Etsy, they'll purchase from you and they don't even really go to your actual store. Like they don't click your store. Like most people will like click your listing and buy from you. Whether you retarget them on other products or not, that's up to you. But it definitely, the whole understanding of having a niche store, in my opinion, isn't so much for your Etsy shop growth. It's more for you understanding who you're selling to that can really optimize and get you more sales in the long run and grow a bigger brand, maybe off of Etsy in the long term.
Yeah, I think that's some great advice. So me personally, based on like what she was saying, is like a lot of people go to Etsy, they search for what they want, they click onto listing, they add to cart, they buy. More times than not, that's the process. Versus like they click into your shop, they see everything that you sell. They want everything to be the same product within the same niche. So I always was a big believer in like having a general shop, different products, different niches, all underneath one shop. And I had zero backlash. The one piece of advice I would say for that though is you need to be consistent. Like the same person with like all of your designs. Like I never had like like a soccer mom designs and very crude designs and political designs, and I'm on both different parties for political designs. You want the same person should love all of your designs independent of the niche. I think that's super important. But I've also heard a lot of people say that they kind of layer their designs. Like I think Scott Volker gives the example of like bass fishing. If that's your niche, you can layer in Mother's Day. It's like it could be like mama in camo, or mama in like a pattern of bass fishing. Or if like pets is your niche, it could be world's best pet mom, and then like love your wiener dog, little D or something. So you can always kind of layer your niche with the upcoming events.
Yeah, and you can also quick duplicate your listing and maybe change the thumbnail photo. Like, let's say you sell a sweatshirt to like a hiking sweatshirt. Some people, their moms like to hike. And so that could be something that's gift for mom, gift, Mother's Day gift, hiking sweatshirt. So just being creative and like trying things out, but definitely duplicate your listing. Don't change your SEO on the exact listing.
Yeah, I completely agree. Next question I see is, do you think social media marketing is a must for Etsy sellers? So this is kind of why I love having Mac on right now. Is like there isn't one shoe fits all. I think Mac was going to say like she's found success with social media marketing. I tried it, I sucked at it, and I never did it ever again. So I tried Pinterest. I tried. We actually hired a social media agency. We hired like a Google Ads agency, and we tried all these. We had tried having a website. We failed at all of that, and then it came to a point where we just focused on Etsy. And we just focused on like launching through Etsy ads and just using on-platform tools to drive on-platform sales. And again, we were able to scale that to to the moon. So is it mandatory? I would say no. Can it be an advantage if you have the skill set and the bandwidth to be consistent with it? Yes. But again, like I just didn't have the time and the bandwidth to try to learn that platform.
Yeah, that's said perfectly. I think some people have the social media bug where they have that want to create, that feel to create. And if you're one of them, absolutely do it. But it's very time consuming. Learn your platform first before you get into that. I do love using Pinterest, using social media. I do have videos on my channel about that. I saw another question too that was mentioning TikTok. Yes, like if you have the time to post on TikTok, do it, in my opinion. Get more people to your Etsy shop, but make sure that like you're using relevant hashtags and stuff so that you're not having like, what is it called? Like clicks that no one buys, because that can hurt your conversion. So there's like a lot of things that go into it. I want to do an updated video on my YouTube channel, like really diving into that, because I think it is valuable if you're somebody that has the consistency to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like the way that I always looked at it too is like if the average conversion rate on an Etsy listing for someone going to Etsy to buy something for that search term in that product, and they actually clicked onto your product, so like they actually expressed an interest, is like 1 to 3%. So like literally like 3 out of 100 people. Therefore, I started like 33 clicks equals 1 sale. I never get more than 33 likes on any Facebook post or Instagram post. So I was like, it doesn't make sense for me to get enough traction to get enough traffic to equal 1 sale. So that's kind of why I just turn on Etsy ads, and I always use Etsy ads as the #1 thing to drive rank and sales. Okay, I think we'll probably take one more question, and then we are going to call it a wrap. Again, before we do that, Mac, do you mind letting anyone know like where they can find you, in case anyone wants to learn more about you and your journey?
Yeah, so I'm on most platforms. My YouTube channel is Money with Mac, just spelled Money with Mac on all platforms. Please be aware that it's my actual account. It's literally Money with Mac, spelled that same way. But I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok and YouTube. I would say I'm most present on YouTube and Instagram. And yeah, I have some resources. I have a really cool course that I'm working on right now. I don't even want to call it a course. It's going to be like a community that I've been working so hard on. And it's going to be something where there's multiple aspects of print on demand, digital products, Amazon KDP, all in one, and a community. So I'm really excited about that. So definitely follow me to make sure that you don't miss that if you're interested in it, because it's going to be really, really cool.
Yeah, that's exciting. Let me know when that goes live, and I can even email my email list for anyone who's interested.
Yeah, definitely. And HelloCustom's going to be in there. So showing y'all how to do it in there.
Love it. Love it. Again, guys, this replay will be live on YouTube. And again, if we don't get to your questions, I think there's probably 10 or 15 that we didn't get to. Feel free to copy and paste those into the comments, or again, I will be live same time next week. I'll probably take one more, and then we will call it a Wednesday. Looks like Rob says, I have over 2,000 sales with digital downloads only. I just started to put up mugs, my first physical product. Does this work, or am I confusing the algorithm? I know Jesse says to use for search volume. So personally, if I had one shop for digital products, I wouldn't be putting physical products on that. Especially if your digital products are meant for mugs. I think that would probably confuse the shopper, why one is like 99 cents and one is like $9.99. I would probably personally keep those separate. But again, I would 100% recommend launching physical products as well, because it does. If you had thousands of sales with digital products, you probably have the skill set of creating good designs. And if you could put that onto a physical product, now you're kind of double dipping. You're selling the ammo to the war, as well as you are participating in the war as well. I think that'd be a good strategy for you, Rob.
Yes, that's said perfectly. Yes. And you still can have digital products on your print on demand store if they're relevant and they're not going to confuse people. Like you said, if it's mugs and then like mug designs, people are going to purchase one thinking they're getting a mug, and then it's just going to get messy. So I would do those separate. Just depends on what your niche is and what you're selling.
Perfect. Well, I think that's done. I think it's 2:00, guys. It's been 1 hour. Thank you again, everyone, so much for joining us live on your Wednesday. I know everyone has a very busy day, especially the time that we do these lives. So thank you so much, and I will see you guys next week.
Yeah, bye guys. Thanks for coming on.
Bye-bye.